So welcome back to the channel for this lovely FOMC day. Today, we're going to go over some updates going into the FOMC, plus some market updates for cryptocurrencies generally. If you enjoy this one, make sure you subscribe to the channel. But starting here with BTC, we did have the monthly close just last night. Bitcoin still in a bullish posturing. I was watching Eric Crown's update this morning and he suggests potentially 27K is on the table in Q1, but mainly that would come earlier rather than later. So maybe February rather than March, which aligns quite nicely with a few dates in mind around the Shanghai ETH upgrade, a potential sell the news event on my radar. As you can see, Bitcoin here is around 23,000 bucks. No major change, resistance at 23,300 and a support down here at around 22,300. Chop in between until we have a resolution from today's meeting. Yesterday, DXY went down a little bit after tagging the upper line. As you can see on screen here, tagged it and then has rejected down to 101.92 right now. And the S&P 500 put in a very good close yesterday as well, up to 40.76. But here is the news around FOMC and CPI data. So everyone's expecting 25 basis points today. As you can see, this is the CME group, and this aggregates a load of opinions and thought leaders across the space. This data shows us that 99.3% of individuals believe a 25 basis point hike will happen today. So essentially, we kind of know what's already going to happen. Typically, we do not get a surprise on these. When there's a huge consensus opinion in the market, it does follow with that. And the Fed's job is not really to spook markets here, but give plenty of guidance if we were to get a dovish pivot or a more hawkish approach, i.e. remaining flat, no increase, or going up to 50 basis points on the other end of the spectrum there. The market is also pricing in a 25 basis points hike in March. A bit of a mixed bag then in May, and from the summer onwards pretty much to be flat from there on out, and then into December potentially a rate cut. So this is interesting and will lead into some of the forward guidance Jerome Powell gives a little bit later. So if he is extra hawkish and says, look, we might have to raise rates for longer, and gives guidance quite a long ways out, even if that is hawkish or more dovish, the market is likely to react around that. So volatility is almost highly expected here. On every other FOMC day we've seen some crazy Darth Maul candles, big spikes up, big spikes down, liquidating all the high leverage positions. So do be careful out there. But this is 2:30 p.m. Eastern time today, or 7:30 UK time. So make sure you gather the family round, get everyone to sit there nice and comfortably and see if Jerome can make our internet coins go up or down. Meme of the day here, sorry babe can't sleep, FOMC meeting. She says, I bet he's thinking about other women. And he says, don't fuck with me today, Jerome. Now, something I covered recently was the CPI weightings change coming into effect from February of this year. So this is really interesting in terms of them massaging the figures as we go forward. I think they want to give off the impression that the Fed has inflation under control. And one way to do that is actually change the way the CPI is calculated. So this is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and they will celebrate an improvement to the CPI, which we hope you will love, I quote. Beginning with the January 2023 index scheduled for publication on February the 14th, BLS plans to update the spending weights in the calculation of the CPI every year instead of every 2 years. Spending weights indicate what share of total expenditures each item represents. They say this to make CPI more relevant, but this will actually in effect mean they're calculating based on 1 year back rather than 2 years back. 2 years ago, if you think back to that, no one was really concerned about inflation, but 1 year ago, people definitely were. So this is them massaging the figures in my mind and trying to get it to work in their favor so the CPI data comes down even quicker. So the month of February as well, definitely going to be an interesting one. All eyes on February the 14th for that. But that is pretty much the FOMC CPI data wrapped up for today. Let's jump into some hot topics in crypto. Where are all the ADA fans at? A big update here from Cardano with a stable coin now in their ecosystem. Cardano not really recognizing this in terms of the price action here. If we just pull out the 30-day chart though, it is taken up quite nicely here, but hasn't had a major breakout as yet. Could this therefore be the catalyst? Now this is called DJED, that is the stable coin. It is made by Coty. So Coty is the kind of rails behind this, supplying this for the Cardano network, the first stable coin on Cardano. So DJED works via a minting and burning function and has a reserve coin as well, backing it up, called Shen. So you actually mint this one by putting down ADA as collateral. So quite interesting. Say you wanted to mint 5,000 DJED right now, you would have to put down 13,000 ADA. And on the flip side, if you have some DJED and you want to burn it back out and get your Cardano back, you can do the flip side process on here as well. In terms of the stability process, they say they want to target a 400 to 800% over collateralization ratio, and the stablecoin is guaranteed by the Shen Reserve token. So this is a rather interesting one. I'll leave the document down below to wrap your head around. It kind of gives you a little bit of a throwback to the Luna UST stuff in terms of collateralizing a stablecoin with unstable assets here. So there are some actual concerns around this further down the line. Of course, CDP positions do have to get liquidated at some point if the underlying collateral drops below a certain threshold. So this is definitely not without any risks, but this is definitely bullish for the overall ecosystem and things like Sunday Swap. When you go to Cardano Sunday Swap, there were no stable coins to interact with. And typically you're not trading between two volatile assets. You want to go back to safety in terms of stables. Now the name for me, DJED, DJED, is not a great one. I'd rather I said USDC something, so it would be easy to search for. But apart from the aesthetics, the fact they have now got a stable coin on the network is definitely a good sign. It just needs a load of minting, which will of course lock up a load more ADA tokens. And then once there's a large circulating supply of these tokens, well, then this could be a real uptick in Cardano's ecosystem, primarily in the DeFi space. So this is something to have on the radar for a bit of a boon in the Cardano eco. Then we have this. This is Ethereum Zhejiang staking withdrawal. Testnet has now started as of today. So this is them officially testing out Shanghai with a testnet implementation. So Barnabas Busa posted this earlier. The Zhejiang public testnet is live 3 p.m. UTC, February the 1st. Shanghai and Capella will be triggered 6 days later, and you'll be able to deposit validators, practice BLS change, and exit without risk. The initial phase is for testing to validators and familiarizing with the user interface, and then withdrawals will be enabled on February the 7th. That of course is all testnet stuff. That is not real ETH, but that is them testing out the network in preparation for Shanghai in March, which is definitely a good sign. If this was delayed, I think the LSD narrative could take a bit of a nosedive, but this is positive news and more fuel to that fire. Now, the majority of crypto narratives right about now are centered around Ethereum. We have ZK Rollups, Ethereum-based scalability narrative. And one of the coins I've covered recently is DUSK Network, which I do believe if we get some positivity from Jerome today, will start to move higher and higher here as it kind of breaks out from this consolidation pattern that it's been in for around 8 months. And I'm targeting personally around the 22-cent region, somewhere up there. So just to show my bags here, DUSK, then Rocket Pool. Again, if Shanghai is on time, no delays, we could see a next continuation leg for the LSD narrative, and this one actually has its all-time high somewhere around here, around 58, 59 bucks. This chart doesn't show it perfectly, but nonetheless, you can see that these strong ETH-based narratives are pushing really, really high and really, really fast, and this potentially could break out into all-time highs even during a bear market. Then we have, last but not least, Injective. This chart is one that is going parabolic here due to the fact the recent announcement they've launched a $150 million ecosystem fund, yet the market cap of Injective is just 260 mil. If it gets up to $4 here, which would be the breakdown back from May, it will be roughly a $300 million market cap, one half of the overall ecosystem fund. So rather interesting. This is one of the strongest performers in the market and one to track, because if this starts to break out, this gives you a sentiment gauge for where we're heading. If these strong coins start to get rejected, like Injective, this will be more troublesome. Quick TLDR on that ecosystem fund. We know Injective was backed by Binance Labs back last cycle, and later backed by Pantera Capital and Jump and even Mark Cuban. But this new ecosystem fund, which gathers a load of funds from the likes of Kraken, KuCoin, Delphi, Flow, Gates, Jump, a whole bunch of people, they've pulled together $150 million and will be deployed over the next couple of years here. The group aims to support projects building on Injective, which is a Cosmos hub, or Cosmos blockchains in the interoperability, DeFi, trading, proof-of-stake infrastructure, and scalability solution sectors. So what we're also starting to see here is the narrative of Cosmos potentially getting a bit of an uptick interchain security for Cosmos utilizing the Atom token comes in Q1 as well. So I'm starting to smell the early innings of a new narrative over the next couple of months. Definitely something to have your eyes on. So let me know down below, will you be tuning in live to listen to Jerome tell us exactly whether our internet coins are going up or down this evening? If you enjoyed this one, please subscribe to the channel and I will see you in the next one. Peace.